everybody! Now that your moms and dads have gathered up your ingredients and all of your cooking equipment, now comes the fun part. This is the part where kids can join in and participate, and that's we're going to measure out ingredients and then we're going to mix them together to make dough, which is very fun. We're going to get our hands dirty. It's fun. So cooking, a big part of cooking is measuring things and mixing ingredients together to make one big thing. So it's lots of little stuff that we put together and it makes a final meal for us, right? We're going to, in this instance, we're making bread. So we're going to combine salt and water and yeast and honey, and we're going to combine that together and it's going to make bread. So for us to measure the ingredients, because you have to have just the right amount of ingredients when we make things, and we're going to use special tools, and one of those special tools are called measuring cups. And so here's my measuring cups, and they're going to have writing on them so you can look at your measuring cups at home. And so this one says 1 cup on it. So this measures 1 whole cup of something. So it could be a cup of water or a cup of flour, just like that. And the next one, this one says a 1/2 cup. So this is a little bit smaller, right? It's actually exactly half the size of the 1 cup. So in other words, I can take 2 1/2 cups to fill up 1 full cup. All right? And then next is the 1/3 cup. So it's a little bit smaller than the 1/2 cup, just a little bit. And it would take 3 of these, a 1/3 cup, a 1/3 cup, and a 1/3 cup to fill up 1 full cup. The last is the tiniest. It's a little tiny 1/4 cup. So it's a little one compared to the full cup. So it takes 4 of these, a 1/4 cup, a 1/4 cup, a 1/4 cup, and a 1/4 cup to fill up 1 full cup. So that's one of our measuring tools. And we'll show you how that works. And then we have the same thing with our measuring spoons. So this is for smaller stuff. So we have a tablespoon, that's the biggest spoon. And then we have a teaspoon, it's a little bit smaller. And then we have a 1/2 teaspoon, and then the very tiny 1/4 of a teaspoon. And I even have a set that has a really tiny 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's like little tiny measurement. Very specific recipes use that. Okay. So we're going to start off with our yeast, and we're going to get our yeast happy. So we're going to feed it. Yeast is living, so we're going to give it some food, and we're going to make it a little on the gassy side. And so we need some warm water, and we prefer it to be 110 degrees. So I've got some warm water that I ran through the sink, and I heated that up. And we're going to make sure that we're at the correct temperature. And so we're at 110 degrees. And we're going to use 1 1/4 cups water. And remember, I'm making my 1/2 sheet size recipe, so you can double everything and make a full size recipe. But I'm not going to make that much focaccia. So we're going to do 1 cup of water. So I'm going to fill up my cup with water, and I'm going to put it into my bowl that I have here. So that's 1 cup of water. And kids at home, you guys can practice measuring out. And then we're going to get a 1/4 of a cup. That's a little teeny guy. We're going to use this 1/4 of a cup, and I'm going to get some more water. I'm going to add that to my bowl. So we did a cup, and then this little 1/4 of a cup. Okay? And that gives us 1 1/4 cups of water, because we want a really specific amount. And that's nice, warm, toasty, warm water. Yeast likes nice toasty temperatures. Okay, next we're going to add our yeast. So I've opened up our little yeast packet here. And we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. So that's this little guy. That's the tiny one, the little 1/4 teaspoon. And we're going to dip it into our yeast package. And we're going to level it out a little bit. We just want just a nice level 1/4 teaspoon. And we're going to put that into our water like that, nice and easy. And then that's it. We only need just a little bit of our yeast. We can save this and use this for something else. Okay, so we have our warm water and our yeast. Now we're going to give the yeast some food. So we've got our honey. And we're going to do 1 1/4 teaspoon of honey. So I'm going to get out my 1 teaspoon measurement. Got my teaspoon here. I'm going to open up my honey. This is going to be messy. I'm going to squeeze out some honey into our teaspoon. And we want just a teaspoon so we don't want to overfill it. And then we're going to put that into our water with our yeast. And you can stir that around and get the honey off the spoon, like so. And then we're going to do just a little bit more. I'm going to go get the 1/4 teaspoon again. And we'll put a little bit more honey in. Squeeze that out. Let's stir that in. So we've got our yeast and honey and our warm water. And we're just going to stir that gently. Oops, I'm dripping honey all over the counter. Okay. All done. Now, we're going to set this aside. So we're going to let this sit, and the yeast is going to feast on the sugar that we put in there. And we're going to come to this in a little bit. So we're going to set that aside. And we put away our honey. We're all done with that. Okay. Now, next, we are going to get my flour. We're going to measure out some flour. Alright, so we're going to use our measuring cups again. So I'm going to dry these off so that the flour doesn't stick to the sides of them. Okay, so we're going to use our big cup again. So the 1 cup, and we're going to get a couple of these. So we need 2 3/4 cup of flour. And so we're using all-purpose everyday flour. And so we're going to scoop our flour. And actually, I'm going to go get a knife too. I want to show you a trick. So you can use a knife. Maybe you can get like a plastic knife. And you can scrape the top of the cup like this. And that's what we call leveling the cup. So we have a nice level top when we measure things out. And that way we know we have exactly a cup in the cup. And we're going to put that in our big bowl. So put that 1 cup of flour in your big bowl. And let's dive in and get another cup. So I'm going to do one more. I'm going to use my knife and I'm going to level my cup nice and gently. Like that. Okay, so we have the 2nd cup, and I'm going to put that into our bowl. So that's 2 cups of flour. We had 1 and another 1, so 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 cups into my mixing bowl. But we also need 3/4 cup, so we're going to have to do some math. This is where our math skills come in very handy. So I'm going to dry off we're going to use our little quarter cup. So the little guy, we're going to use the little one. So this is a quarter cup, and we need 3 quarter cups. So we need 3 of these. So we're going to dip into our flour. We're going to use our knife again. And we're going to level off our cup. And so that's 1/4 of a cup. We're going to add that to our flour. And then we're going to get another one. And level it off nice and smooth. So that's our second 1/4 of a cup. And we'll get one more. And that makes 3/4 of a cup. Okay. There we go. All right, so we have 2 3/4 of a cup of flour in our bowl. I'm going to put the flour away, get that out of the way. Now, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of salt. So I've got my coarse sea salt here that we're going to use. And it says I can use a tablespoon. That is a lot of salt. But remember, this is the big, crusty, crunchy, big grain salt. So we can use a lot of it. So 1 whole tablespoon. And again, we want a nice level tablespoon, so you can use your knife and scrape off that excess salt. So we're going to use the big tablespoon, and we're going to do a big scoop like this of salt. Now, if you're just using regular table salt, like you just got the regular guy like this, you can use 1½ teaspoons of table salt. Okay? So it's half of what you would use of the coarse salt. Okay, so we've got our flour and our salt in the bowl. I'm going to get out my nifty spatula, and I'm going to stir. So kids out there, you guys can stir the salt and the flour together. You want that salt to be spread evenly through the flour. So we're going to stir, stir, stir. Okay, very fun to stir, right? Okay. Now, while we've been doing all that, our yeast has been dining on the honey, and it's starting to froth up. It's got a little foam, kind of a froth that's formed at the top of the surface. So that looks good. That means the yeast is happy. And so we're going to take this mixture of honey and the warm water and the yeast, and we're going to pour this into our flour. Okay, we're going to just pour that right in there. Okay. And we're going to take our spatula again. And this is the messy part. So this is why we want to use the spatula. So we're going to stir this mixture together. And we're going to bring all of this together. Okay, we're going to stir and combine the flour with the water, and the salt, and the honey, and the yeast. And we're going to start bringing this together. And it's going to start kind of forming a ball as you stir it. And you're just very gently bringing this together. Okay? See how slowly I'm moving this? Because that water is going to soak into the flour. And it's going to really do a lot of the work for us. And it's going to clump together. And when it starts to clump together, that's when I get my hands dirty. Now, of course, I think I may have forgotten to mention that we clean and wash our hands before we cook. We always clean our kitchen. We clean all of our utensils and bowls. Everything needs to be clean before we cook, and that includes your hands. We wash our hands with hot water and soap and scrub them really hard before you cook. You never want to cook with dirty hands. You want clean hands, okay? All right, so with our clean hands, We're going to reach into that bowl, and I'm going to scrape the sides, and this is fun. It feels good. It's kind of like the Play-Doh that we play with in the preschool, right? Okay, we're going to scrape those sides with my hands, and I'm going to push all the little pieces into the dough. We're going to push it around, and we're going to kind of gather it up. So it should already, look how easy this came together. See, it just wanted to form a ball. It just wanted to. It just naturally kind of pulled together. Very simple. You do not have to over-mix this. Focaccia is not a brioche. It doesn't need too much structure. Okay? It doesn't have any butter in it. Okay, so when it's in this nice ball, I'm going to knead it a little bit. Now, some people pull it out and knead it on the counter, but I just use my bowl. And I use the palm of my hand. I'm going to get my elbow out, and I'm going to press into the sides of the bowl. And what I'm doing is I'm pressing it and folding it and pressing it in the bowl. Okay, now it's kind of hard to see. Now it's already a little bit sticky because it's humid. I think it's like 70% humidity right now. So we're getting sticky. My hands are getting sticky. So I'm going to grab a little bit more flour. I'm going to get a handful of flour. And I'm going to dust my bowl with my flour. And that way it doesn't stick to my hands while I'm kneading it. It's going to dry it out just a little bit. And you put just enough to make it easier. So we're going to press and fold, press and fold, press and fold. But nice, you don't have to overwork it. Okay? Now for the little hands, for your little tiny hands, this is going to be hard work. You might want your mom or dad to help you for this. Because the dough is real heavy. And you gotta really put your arms into it. Now already, I've just kind of moved this around a few times and it's already starting to get sticky again. But not sticky enough for me to add more flour. I want it a little wet. I don't want it to be too dry. Alright, so again, focaccia does not need to be overworked. So, I've got a nice little ball. It's, fairly smooth looking. And so I'm going to quit there. I'm not going to, knead this forever. I'm going to put that back in the bowl. I'm going to get all the little bits off my hands. And I'm going to call that done. Okay? That looks nice. It's got a smooth, elastic texture to it. It's not too wet. It's not too dry. I feel good. The next thing we need is our elastic wrap. So, I'm going to get just enough like that. And put a little plastic wrap, and I'm going to nestle that over my bread. Just a little bit. Now you can put some on the top if you want. Oop, if I can get it off. We're just going to cover this. So we don't want it to dry out. So I'm kind of seal that up. Okay. Now, if I were going to proof this in my house without my bread proofer, I would put a little towel over it like this. I'd get this little kitchen towel and you can cover it like that, and that will help keep it from drying out. And then you want to find, maybe a sunny window to put this in, or some people will proof it overnight. you're probably going to need at least 4 hours. So if your home temperature is at 75 degrees, that's considered room temperature for proofing bread. So if your home's 75 degrees, you're looking at a minimum of 4 hours to get this to what we're aiming for is for it to double in size. Overnight, you might want to do it overnight and leave it for like 12 to 14 hours. It gets a little bit cooler at night. So you're basically just going to leave it out at room temperature and you're going to watch it. And when it gets to double the size, then it'll be ready. So, but I'm going to use my bread proofer. So we're going to turn that on and figure out why it's not turning on. There we go. Woo. And I'm going to set it at 80 degrees. Yeast performs around 80 degrees, a little bit over 80 degrees. It's like where it really, really performs really well. It's really happy at that temperature. So that's the temperature we're going to use. I've got a little bit of water. I put a little pan of water in there to create some humidity in my bread proofer. And we're going to heat that up. And then I'm going to put my bread directly into the proofer. So I'm not going to use the towel, and we're just going to put that in like that. And at 80 degrees, we're going to proof this for about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Should double this in size. And once we get that doubled, then we can take it out, and we're going to put it into our pan, or get it ready for your baking stone, and we're going to proof it again, a second time, once it's in the pan. And we're going to put some dimples on it, we're going to put some salt on top of it, and then we're going to bake it. And then we will have a delicious snack. So at this point, you can leave this overnight and then bake it the next day in the morning. So depending on how your day is going. So it's a good break time. All right, so we'll see you for the next video. Thank you.